Kentucky Derby. Kentucky Derby.
Now they move around the turn. The leader, War Admiral, 2.5 for clear.
Next Quartet is in the center of the racetrack. The Admiral Sloop drawing alongside again.
War Emblem is still there. War Emblem is pulling away. He's got another gear. Yeah, the Swiss they come in the Derby. Wheel away takes command. Lion Heart is all heart. Smarty Jones is all out. And here's the first undefeated winner of the Kentucky Derby since Seattle's Blue in 1976.
1 week, 7 days, 168 hours. However you say it, the Kentucky Derby is almost here, and we're here to bring you the horse's final preparations. It's the morning workouts presented by TwinSpires.com on a dry, cool, beautiful morning beneath the Twin Spires. The track is fast, and we've already had plenty of action on the track, plenty of action all week. So let's take a look at the headlines heading into April 24th. Dynamic One and Travel column shined on a busy Friday work tab. We'll take a look back at the Derby and Oaks runners that were in action on Friday. Medina Spirit arrives on the grounds as trainer Bob Baffert's lone hope to become the record 7 Derby wins for him. Expected Derby favorite Essential Quality headline some workers we've already seen this morning. We'll see a few more at that 7:30 break. And Dream Shake has opted for the Pat Day Mile. That allows Lexington Stakes winner King Fury to join the Derby cast. And we did see Medina Spirit arrive. Always presented by Ford there in Medina Spirit. Bob Baffert's lone try. It looked like he might have 3, 4, 5 horses on the Derby trail earlier. He's the only one expected to be in the gate as Bob Baffert goes for that record 7th Derby win. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ed DeRosa. He's Scott Shapiro. And I don't want to speak for you, Scott, but I have to imagine you're pleased to be here.
I am pleased to be here, Ed. The temperature is a little higher than they have been. We're getting closer to the big race. We saw a lot of action yesterday, more action today. I'm excited for the next hour.
I am as well, and I know our colleagues are too. Let's get to them. On the backside of the pleasure of being an observer yesterday as Rosie Napravnik took us through a lot of works. Oaks winning jockey twice. And Rosie, a lot of action today. Looking forward to your thoughts.
Yeah, there's some big horses working today, and we've definitely lucked out with the weather. It's a little bit warmer, and the track is actually fast and looks fantastic.
Yeah, you mentioned the weather. We knew rain is coming, and it hasn't come yet. So those who opted for today probably pretty pleased with the weather. And I'm sure on the 4th floor, Brandon Staubel is pleased to be dry up there. He's our eye in the sky. Brandon, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Good morning, Rosie. Yeah, I was able to lose that second jacket I've been wearing underneath of this. It actually feels great compared to the last several days, even going back to that snow day. Man, it was so cold up here, but feels great today. Not even a real breeze up here. Rosie talked about the track. The track looks great. Rain looks like it's going to hold off. And we've got some big workers coming up, including maybe some McPeaks and possibly even Chad Brown's Derby runner. So should be good action today as well. Get back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Brandon. Yeah, with a week away, we know it's going to be fast and furious, and we call this graphic the Derby points leader, Scott, but as the draw approaches Tuesday, it's basically becoming the Derby field.
Yeah, a little bit of shake-ups if you just joined us yesterday and missed the rest of the news. Dream Shake out, King Fury in. I'm excited to see this one in, Ed. I think he's amongst the 20 best 3-year-olds in the land. Brian Hernandez Jr., Kenny McPeak, no strangers to Churchill Downs.
And Bezos, who I think was 26th about 2 weeks ago, safely in at 18 now. And we do draw up to 24, and that means the 2 on the also eligible list can enter the Derby. And there you see Keep Me in Mind and Star My Dreams both hoping to be in the Derby when they draw in. Let's take a look at who worked on Friday, and it was a busy day. A lot of works on Friday, including Hidden Stash at Keeneland, but Scott, fast and furious here at Churchill Downs.
You said it, Ed, fast and furious for sure. A lot of the top runners in the Derby getting ready, final preparations. I was very high on Dynamic One going into the workout yesterday, the 4 furlong drill. He did nothing to show me that I should not be even higher on him.
And his stablemate Burbonic joined the workout fray after you were on air, and here he is, the Wood Memorial winner. Shocked the world there. Similar trip expected in the Derby.
He's going to come from way out of it. He'll need to work out a trip like he did last time under Kendrick Carmouche. If they go at it early, he could be running on late. It's going to be a big task for him to make it 2 in a row, but he'll make it worth it if you bet him. A lot of bang for your buck.
And let's get to that action on the main track at Churchill Downs. Bourbonic's previous work was in company, but he's solo here, Rosie.
Yeah, and you can see he was dropped off right at the pole by the pony. He's been training really aggressively, so Todd decided to work him by himself. He felt that was going to be the most beneficial thing for the horse, and he's really going into this work pretty relaxed, but now you can see he's picking it up, and his ears go back as he kind of gets into what he's out here to do. He's really opening up his stride around the turn. This horse looks excellent. I know he's been training strong every day, but the work looks excellent to me. This is a horse that comes from off the pace and, you know, is really expected to get the distance. So you can see he's just moving very smoothly. He's concentrating on what he's doing without any company, which is really kind of ironic for a closer. You almost want to give him a target a lot of times. So it's kind of funny that he, you know, is training so aggressively and working by himself, but he looks great here.
Yeah, I thought this was a very steady move, guys. And Rosie, I thought this was just clicking off those 12s is what we like to say, just an even work. And I think this horse has come forward a little bit. I would say that last work, everybody saw he was pretty much outworked, and it was a little disappointing. I thought he's had some aggressive gallops coming out of that work, and I thought this was a nice work. It wasn't anything flashy, but he did get busy a little bit here on the gallop out. I thought they could get something out of this. You can see the rider kind of pushing on him, wanting him to gallop out past into the backside. But I think as far as this horse is concerned, they're probably happy with the way that he's coming in, especially this last week or so.
From one of the expected longest shots in the Kentucky Derby field to unquestionably the favorite, Essential Quality. And when you look at the stats, Scott, tough to knock.
Extremely hard to knock the undefeated son of Tapit. Ed, I've spoken a lot about his class and a lot more about his not being race shape dependent, but he's also proven that he can win over a fast track as well as the off-going, which is always an advantage at Churchill Downs come Derby time.
That Burbonic work was yesterday, late morning. This was today, early morning, Essential Quality on the track for Brad Cox. Rosie?
Yeah, and, you know, as impressive as this horse has been and as straightforward as he is galloping, the work wasn't overly impressive. I mean, nothing wrong with it, 1 minute and 2 and a steady work, but you can see he's going to catch up to his workmate for sure, but he doesn't fly past him in the gallop out. He's moving well here. He looks good. His striding out, and he's definitely a horse in the morning. You can see doesn't do too much, and it's good that he's not really hard on himself. But here you would kind of expect him to be right head and head with the workmate and gallop out past him, and he really doesn't. He doesn't blow by him. So not an overly impressive work, but you know, they're not looking to really do anything too fast. I just thought he would gallop out maybe a little bit better.
I would agree. I thought, especially around the turn here, I thought maybe, like you said, he would stick ahead in front. Now, past the 7/8 pole right there, he does kind of shut him down. You can see the rider kind of drop the hands and then pull him back and say, okay, we don't want to do too much. This isn't a move. We want to gallop out onto the backside and way back to the track kitchen. So, yeah, he hasn't been overly impressive in the 2 works that he's had here, but shows up on game day and undefeated. So you definitely have to consider that.
From a horse who hasn't needed any excuses in the afternoon to one we're looking for one in the Twin Spires Louisiana Derby, Mandaloun and Enigma, Scott.
He certainly has looked a picture of health since that race. Ed, training here, everybody's been pretty high on him. He's had 6 weeks to regroup and should have the tactical speed to work out a good trip under Florent Giroux, who's never won the Kentucky Derby. He's won a lot of big races, but his best finish in the Derby was 3rd on Gunrunner in 2016.
And here he is. He had a workout as well for the Brad Cox stable, and looks like he's alone now, but we get a surprise in a little bit, Rosie.
Yeah, so he's actually got a workmate that is several lengths in front of him, and it looks like they're by design giving him a good target. He's a big, strong horse, and you can see here he's got a nice, lovely stride. When he comes around the turn heel, you'll catch a glimpse of how far in front the workmate is. There, you can see him there. So he's got a lot of ground to make up on the workmate, and this is a really good minute flat work. It's a steady work. He looks like he's moving well, and I do believe he's going to gallop out past the workmate after the wire. But they certainly wanted to give him a target, and he certainly does what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, you can kind of see the rider on the inside there looking back to see where Mandaloun was at, and Florent's just kind of shake the reins maybe just a little bit, let him finish up around the turn. I'd be interested to hear from Brad later today whether that was rider error with him starting so far in front, or that was actually by design. You don't see Brad Cox work horses like that very often. Really, you never really see it. It's usually team drills together, stay in company, kind of like what we saw with the Essential Quality. So maybe something new he wanted to fold in, something he wanted to work on with Mandaloun. I'd be interested to get his thoughts later.
All right, and I'm sure we will. Our crack production team always. Johnny's on the spot on the backside. Brad Cox looking for his first Derby win in his first Derby. Racing Hall of Fame trainer Steve Asmussen looking for his first Derby win. He's been here before, though, Scott.
He sure has, and to be honest, Ed, I thought Superstock was a clear cut below the top tier in this crop, but he proved me wrong in the Arkansas Derby. He did get a perfect trip, but he took a big step forward under Ricardo Santana Jr. as they tried to get the family their first Derby win.
Yeah, and Superstock actually has the most starts of any Kentucky Derby hopeful this year with 8. Plenty of 2-year-old form, and here he is showing off his form on the track in the morning in company. And Rosie, I know you've worked horses for Asmussen before.
Yeah, he really is particular about the way his horses work. He likes them to be very even. Typically, all of his riders will wear a watch. Even the jocks wear watches. Most of the time when they breed, you'll see the riders just sitting on them here, but he takes a look at his watch right there just to see, what exactly the time is. Steve really likes to have an even work, and that's just what this looks like. The time was 1:01 and 1. But you can see the jock is not moving on him. He's not asking him for any more. He's just dropping his head and letting him do his job. The horse has, he's got plenty of run in him, and he's going to gallop out here after the wire.
Yeah, I thought this was an exactly what we wanted kind of drill. I'm sure that he was very happy here. And Max Player, who actually ran in the Derby last year, was on the inside. Both you can see still checking the watches. Rosie, I'm curious, we talk about this on the show the last several Derbies, but checking the watches is something Steve Asmussen definitely has his riders do. Did you ever get that look back at the barn from him that maybe you went a little too fast?
I don't know, you could call it luck, but I always had pretty good breezes at Steve's barn, and I actually never wore watch. I think I wore one time, and by the time I got back to the barn, it said 3 minutes, so it wasn't really helpful to me, but he definitely, he likes his horses to, whatever they're training, whatever they're doing, he likes it to be smooth. He even gave me those instructions on Untappable, I believe in the Oaks. He said, whatever you do, make it smooth. So he's really particular about how the horses go, which is such a horseman's aspect.
All right, and I'm going to make a smooth transition from one Racing Hall of Fame trainer to another who's likely to get inducted this year. It's Todd Pletcher, who has 4 in this year's Derby, including Florida Derby winner Known Agenda.
And of the 4, he's all but certain to take the most money, Ed, at the windows, and understandably so, off of back-to-back impressive wins down at Gulfstream Park, including the one in the Florida Derby. Irad Ortiz Jr. takes the call. His best finish in the Kentucky Derby is a 4th-place effort on Improbable in 2019.
And the stablemate Sainthood earned his way in with the runner-up finish in the Jeff Ruby Stakes.
Yeah, he's one of 4 potential Derby starters that come in with just 3 lifetime races. He has tactical speed, but he's going to have to take a step up to be competitive in the Derby.
And we mentioned both of these together because they worked together on Friday morning for Todd Pletcher. He had 5 out there from his Oaks Derby arsenal. Here's Sainthood and Known Agenda in tandem, Rosie.
Yeah, this was a good work. I think, Todd had said that he sort of gave everyone the heads up that Known Agenda is not a really flashy workhorse. They've got him inside of Sainthood, and I think by design, Sainthood is a horse that is really push button. He's super easy to ride. He's very receptive to his rider, so I think they put him outside to just sort of push Known Agenda along, give him something to run against, and it was a decent work. I really like Known Agenda. I don't mind this type of horse that, needs a little bit of urging in a breeze. I know Gervin was the same way when I was breezing him up to the Derby. But Sainthood, certainly, he's one of the horses that's going to have to move forward in his form and kind of prove himself in the Derby, but the work is certainly impressive. I mean, he is just really in the bridle here, waiting on cues from his rider.
Yeah, going to Known Agenda, I went back and watched a lot of his breezes from over the winter, and Rosie, you're exactly right. I mean, he's just not a very good workhorse in there. That's fine. Some horses just show up in the afternoon. So I thought what you said yesterday was great too. At the end of the show, that on the backside you watched Known Agenda walking off, and you could tell he was really proud of himself. He kind of swelled up and just had that confidence look. I really like to hear that kind of stuff. And then as far as Sainthood goes, this is kind of a trifecta, superfecta kind of horse for me. Going back and watching watching some of his races. Trained pretty well. The last breeze yesterday was good, but just kind of seems like he's still figuring things out, but loves to compete. Had a ton of trouble, really had no finishing second. I mean, it could have finished fourth easily in the Jeff Ruby Stakes, but almost ended up winning the race after some trouble. So Sainthood definitely on my radar for underneath.
And we are awaiting a jockey assignment for Sainthood. Todd Pletcher telling us on Thursday, wanting to speak with Windstar and see who else is in and out before making that decision. Dynamic One, runner-up in the Wood Memorial, looked like a winner at the 16th pole, Scott, and then his stablemate collared him.
Yeah, anybody that's been watching the show knows I'm high on this horse and getting higher on him as we are a week out. He has just one win in 5 starts and getting run down by a long shot. Even his stablemate is going to have people off this horse. It's going to make him a big price. I think he's had excuses, including a wide voyage in that Wood.
And here he is with his final preparations to complete the Pletcher Quartet for us. Rosie, Dynamic One.
Yeah, this is a big, big horse who is really kind of immature, like in his form. He went straight from the maiden race to the Wood and ran a little bit green in there. It looked like he was waiting on horses in the Wood. So you can see he's sitting off of the workmate here, heading into the work. But it was a really impressive work. I mean, one of the most impressive that we saw yesterday. He's a huge horse, really strides out. I mean, you can tell he's got a ton of horse loaded here on the turn. But he's definitely physically, he's one of the most impressive horses of the breezes yesterday. It's just going to be, you know, whether or not he's mature enough to handle, you know, the big field in the Derby and you know, really the step up in class. But I mean, look at him run down the lane here. He's just, and this is, you know, 47-4, one of the faster works of the Derby works yesterday, and he's just doing it really easily.
Yeah, 47-4, just coasting down the lane. He's got a really nice stride. You can see at the wire there, they'll be even, but just kind of nudges on him, flashes the stick a little bit, wants him to finish up, and he really did that. Prime Factor on the inside, who Scott's alluded to before, was actually considered Todd's best Derby hopeful at one point, and Dynamic One going to go past on the gallop out. Both breezes here have been excellent, and this horse really couldn't be coming in any better, and I know Scott's glad to hear that.
Dynamic One puts a bow around Pletcher's 4 Derby hopefuls that worked on Friday, and we also caught up with Todd Pletcher on the backside.
We were shooting for 101, and I had him a tick faster. I'm a minute and 4/5, but you know, it was what we were hoping for. Dynamic One was especially impressive on the gallop out. Pricked his ears in 113 and just seemed like he was gliding over the track, so really happy with him.
I always knew Todd Pletcher had good fashion sense, but didn't know he rocked those kind of jackets. Good look there, Todd. Caddo River joined the Derby fray, or rejoined it. Brad Cox said Caddo River would run earlier last week, so he is back in and likely pace threat.
Yeah, of the 3 Brad Cox colts slated to run in the Derby, Eddie's likely to be the biggest price. He's also likely to be in front in this race, which gives him an advantage. Potentially, if it's a slow pace. We'll see who the rider is, like Sainthood, not announced yet.
All right, yeah, eager for that information, eager to hear what we think of this final breeze, Rosie. And he is a front runner. Do horses train differently based on their running style?
You know, they can, but sometimes they'll surprise you. Like, for example, Burbonic, who has really been aggressive and comes from off the pace. This horse, I saw him just jogging on the track a few days ago, and I was unimpressed and thought he looked a little aloof and immature, but he's certainly into his breeze, going in there a little aggressive, which, you know, sometimes you don't want to see them too aggressive, but as soon as he lets him open up his stride there, the horse completely relaxes and just settles into the work. And that is a really good quality to have in the horse as far as riding the race. You can see he's really just relaxed there. He's sitting off the workmate, and boy, does he have a ton of horse when he turns for home. This was a really impressive work for me. Minute and 3, a nice even work. He's not doing too much, which you can tell, you know, the jock didn't want to do too much in the beginning and is just asking him to settle, but here he just sits on him and they coast home and he looks fantastic.
Yeah, I like the way this horse is coming in, and you can still see Florence just got a handful of horse. I will say, I think that looking at this work a little bit too, this horse is just going to be much better when he's kind of allowed to relax a little bit on the front end. He was bothered by a concert tour in the last couple of races, but if he gets out there and just starts sloping along and he gets relaxed and doesn't have anybody around him, I think he's going to be really dangerous. And fast time here, I think it was something they wanted to sharpen him up a little bit, and I expect them to send this one to the front.
All right, thanks, Brandon and Rosie, for that thoughts into Caddo River's work. And Scott, a lot of action on Friday, some already this morning. Of them all, which one do you think might move the pools the most?
Good question. I think Mandaloun would probably be my answer. He's looked so good. The questions are still out there, maybe the distance, what happened in the Twin Spires, Louisiana Derby, but it's a Brad Cox runner. He's had time, and he's looked great out there. Brandon and Rosie seem to agree.
Absolutely. All right, well, we saw Todd's 4 on the track. We saw Brad's 3, and after the break, we're going to see Travel Column, one of his in the Kentucky Oaks. Stay with us.
The 147th Kentucky Derby is almost here, and Twin Spires players can take advantage of our Kentucky Derby money-back offer all week long. Place a win bet on any Churchill Downs race during Derby week, including Saturday's Run for the Roses, and if your horse finishes 2nd or 3rd, you'll get your money back. Plus, if you are looking for help to find a winner or two, check out our expert picks available on the app for every race. Twin Spires, bet dedicated.
With over 200 flavor notes to discover, every sip of Woodford Reserve Bourbon is a spectacle for the senses.
What about the earpiece then? Back at Churchill Downs for the morning workouts presented by TwinSpires.com, and the conditions couldn't be any better, especially on a curve. We were expecting rain. It's mostly cloudy, low 50s, feels good out there. The track is fast. We saw a lot of workouts already this morning, but more to come at 7:30. But first, let's take a look at Soup and Sandwich. The runner-up in the Florida Derby is here for trainer Mark Cassie. And Scott, Soup and Sandwich looking to make a big step forward in his 4th career start.
Yeah, like Sainthood has only made 3 starts thus far in his career, but they've all been good ones, including his 2nd place finish to known agenda last time out in the Florida Derby. We talked about Caddo River being the likely pace setter, but I think Tyler Gaffleone will have Soup and Sandwich close to the early pace.
Certainly one of the easier ones to pick out on the track, either by name in the program or his looks. And here he is, Rosie.
This work, he starts out really aggressive. He's fighting his rider here. Not exactly what you want to see, but he's a horse that has a lot of speed, and so you can see that the jock is doing the best he can to wait up for the workmate here and let him come up the inside. And he really kind of tugs on his rider the whole way, but it was a slower work. It was a half and 50, so for a speed horse, it can be difficult to kind of relax into a work that's that modest. So he does relax here once he's allowed to open up his stride, and is easily catching up to his workmate. But he's still acting pretty aggressive. He's still really tugging on the rider. There you can see he's just kind of fighting him a little bit, but definitely has a ton of horse. I mean, I would say this is a really sharp horse going into the Derby, but a modest work.
Yeah, you can see those ears kind of flicking back and forth now, kind of like, what do you want me to do? But the one thing that I really loved about this work, the time doesn't matter to me. It was just more the fact that after this horse was a little bit headstrong and kind of wanting to run off a little bit, that Tyler was able to get him to relax, and he actually came back to him. You can see at the wire, his ears are just basically in a helicopter motion, just flipping all around. Tyler's just got a long hold, the hands are low, and his gallop outs here have been fantastic. I mean, you can see him here on the backside. Even after kind of getting headstrong and maybe running off a little bit, he's still got plenty left on the gallop out. Really interesting runner to me, and a horse that I think I'm going to have on my top tier tickets.
One of 2 for trainer Mark Cassie, looking for his first Kentucky Derby winner. The other of those is Tampa Bay Derby winner Helium, looking to do it off a layoff, Scott.
Different running style than his stablemate. He took advantage of a favorable race shape in his win at Tampa. Historically, the time off after the win in the Tampa Bay Derby without another race has not been a winning move. We'll see if the son of Ironicus can change that, Ed.
And here he is on the track for his final workout. Rosie, are things different for horses that are coming off a longer layoff? Do they work differently, or is it just the same plan going into a race?
I don't know that they work differently per se, but their work regimen might be different as far as what the trainer wants from them. So, you know, in the case of Soup and Sandwich, that was clearly, you know, a targeted slower work. This horse is going to work, you know, in 49 and 4, so, you know, he's obviously going for the same sort of easy work. And Helium on the outside here, outside of the workmate, is just, you know, he's really looks fantastic, opening up his stride. He's in harmony with the rider, and he's going to pass the workmate here and looks like he's going to have a good gallop out.
Yeah, Laker Mamba on the inside. It was just an easy move. I mean, very similar to Soup and Sandwich as far as the time goes, but obviously a little more fluid here. Helium by Ironicus, you know, maybe could surprise some people. I don't know what to do with this horse. I know it's really hard to win a race off of this layoff, especially the Kentucky Derby, but really training well. I mean, he's kind of done everything right. It's just whether or not he's good enough.
The workout's one of the final pieces of the Kentucky Derby handicapping puzzle, and perhaps the final piece is the Kentucky Derby draw, and that will be this year on Tuesday. Very much looking forward to pilling the pools. I know, Scott, you'll join Joe Christofek. I'll be interviewing the connections. The Kentucky Derby post-position draw presented by Ford, 10:45 a.m. on Tuesday. On Monday is the Kentucky Oaks draw, and as we said with the points leaders in the Derby, Scott, at this point, we're basically looking at the field more so than a points leaderboard.
Yes, and I think this is an extremely evenly matched field. Ed, a lot of horses I expect to be in that 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1 range. Probably expecting Malathot, number 5 on that list, to be favored, but a number of horses will likely be close.
Yeah, Coach, the last one in for now, but 4 still looking to draw in, and we are going to get to Brad Cox's workouts, and as we look at the Friday workouts, another busy day, just like with the Derby horses.
Sure was. You see Malathot there, 4 furlongs, 48 and 2. Sorry. Ava's Grace is a horse I'm looking at as a potential speed horse in the race. Not a lot of speed signed on.
Travel Column worked 5 furlongs in a minute and 2 there. She is from the Brad Cox barn, another gray in the Oaks Derby. And Rosie, take us through this one.
Yeah, this filly definitely had a great work. Again, you know, a minute and 2, that's kind of just exactly what you're looking for. She's sitting off the workmate, and she's just going to have a ton of horse when she turns for home. But I like to see that on the turn she's not overly aggressive. I mean, this race doesn't have a lot of speed in it. She's pretty tactical, so I would expect that would be up close in the race. But you can see around the turn here, he's staying close to the workmate and just trying to kind of not move in front too early. But she's opening up her stride here and looks fantastic.
Yeah, I loved this work. I thought this was one of the best works I've seen so far out of any of the 2 races, and what a great view right here. You can see Florent maybe just kind of looks over here a little bit, and I thought she was striding out well down the lane. The biggest thing for me at the wire, he's got so much horse, and he could have blown by the workmate at any point, but she's just kind of sitting there waiting. You can see the ears kind of flicking around a little bit, and Florent's got his hands low, but he just had so much horse in this work. He was ready to blow by at any time, and I think she's coming up to a huge race.
What a view there. Great work by those who set up that shot. Kentucky Oaks draw. We mentioned the Tuesday Derby draw. The Kentucky Oaks draw presented by Ford is Monday, 10:45 Eastern. And again, Scott will be joining Joe Christofek. I'll be doing the interviews to see who's happy or not with their post-position draw. Full cards selected that day as well. Monday and Tuesday, big draw days as Kentucky Derby week is upon us here in Louisville, Kentucky, and the works portion of our morning is almost upon us as well. 7:30, we'll see who's on the track. We'll see who's working. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The 147th Kentucky Derby is almost here, and Twin Spires players can take advantage of our Kentucky Derby money-back offer all week long. Place a win bet on any Churchill Downs race during Derby week, including Saturday's Run for the Roses, and if your horse finishes 2nd or 3rd, you'll get your money back. Plus, if you are looking for help to find a winner or 2, check out our expert picks available on the app for every race. Twin Spires, bet dedicated.
One moment, you're up in the sky, and the next, you're in a free fall, 10,000 feet above the ocean. You have 30 seconds between you and the water's surface. And it's these 30 seconds that define who you are. Because how we face the fall is what separates the pioneer spirit from the rest. This is your legacy.
We're back at Churchill Downs live for the Kentucky Derby workouts presented by TwinSpires.com, awaiting some horses on the track. I'm Ed DeRosa, Scott Shapiro, and Scott, time to buckle our seatbelts.
Yes, not as busy as yesterday, but still plenty of action.
Yes, we saw plenty of horses already work. We've been through those. Looking forward to seeing who's on the track as well. And our eyes on the backside, Rosie Napravnik, probably seeing some horses gather at the gap, Rosie.
Yeah, they haven't come out quite yet, but you know, we are fortunate about the weather today. It's warmer for the humans, but still cool enough for the horses, and the track looks beautiful. It's a nice fast track, so I know we were worried about some rain and really some nasty weather, but it looks like we're lucking out here, and we've got some really good works coming up.
Very much looking forward to seeing who we do see on the track, and with the best view of that is Brandon Staubel. And Brandon, I know you're around some other clockers and observers. Any scuttlebutt on who we might be seeing work this morning?
Hey guys, hey Rosie. Yeah, it looks like the track just opened up. We got a glimpse of Highly Motivated. It looks like he's going to go in company with a workmate, and we'll see what Kenny McPeak does. He alluded earlier in the week, or kind of hinted at, that he would possibly work Crazy Beautiful and King Fury together. So that would be something to see as well. And we'll go ahead and get it back to you guys because I know the track just opened up.
No doubt, Brandon. We are looking at Highly Motivated. Scotty was runner-up to Essential Quality in the Bluegrass. We saw Essential Quality earlier, and this one looking to turn the tables on that foe.
I know you're very high on Highly Motivated's chances. I think a lot of numbers guys will be. He's rattled off 3 straight triple-digit Brisnet speed ratings. I'm still a little concerned about the distance and how he will do trying to pass other horses. The one time he went a route of ground, he was on the lead in the Bluegrass with a lot of pace signed on, but obviously he's a major player.
Rosie, that distance seems to be the biggest question with Highly Motivated. Mile and a quarter in the Derby. You've had horses run that far. What clues can we look for to tell us if Highly Motivated can handle it?
Well, obviously, you know, we're going to be looking to see how he gallops out today. And, you know, in his last race, I mean, the one thing that you can say about him in his last race is just how game of a race he ran. So obviously he's a horse that's going to try all the way to the end. And, you know, he just got beat in that last out. But the one thing I can say about this horse, just watching him train in the morning, is, you know, he's not like the most fluid mover, and we'll see, you know, how his work goes today, and hopefully that last race didn't take too much out of him.
4-week break, Brandon, for Highly Motivated. He had one work at Keeneland last weekend, and now he's here at Churchill Downs. What are you going to be looking for? Yeah, I'm going to be looking for just a smooth stride down the lane. That work at Keeneland was excellent. We saw on video. I thought he was striding out well. And then I'm going to be looking for a little bit of a gallop out in here. It'll be interesting to see, just so people know at home, too, if you're kind of new to watching horses in the mornings. Nowadays, a lot of the trainers will use a walkie-talkie, and he's got one in his back pocket on the right side. You can kind of see the antenna stick up. And Chad Brown's going to be in the grandstand. He's going to be timing the work. He's going to be talking to these guys on the radio. So if they're going too fast, he's going to slow them down. If they're going too slow, he's going to tell them to speed up. So all the directions are coming from Chad Brown beneath me in the grandstand. And I'm looking for this horse to just stride out well to the wire, do it pretty much in hand, and then hopefully gallop out a little bit. All right, from the Derby to the Oaks, we have racing. We're going to switch things up and stay with the Derby and look at Lexington Stakes winner King Fury. Arrived on the scene as a 3-year-old with a big win at Keeneland, Scott.
Extremely well-bred son of Curlin out of Taris, who was a very productive daughter of Flatter. 2 for 3 over the Churchill Downs main track, which is a definite positive, as was his powerful effort winning in the slop in the Lexington. He's, like I said earlier, he deserves to be in this race. I'm glad he got in.
Rosie, he's one of the only one, actually, with just one start at 3. What do you make of him just having the one start? Typically the Derby profile 2, 3, even 4 starts coming into the race.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's definitely one of the lesser experienced, just having that one start at 3, but he has run several times, and he's a versatile horse. So, I mean, I'm interested to see how the work goes today. I did see him train at a gallop out here, and he looked fantastic. He does kind of look like an immature horse, but that, you know, having said that, once he gets going, you know, his stride is really big stride, and he moves very fluidly. So, I mean, his last race was obviously a good one. It was only, you know, just a couple weeks ago compared to some of the guys that have had 6 weeks since their last work. So, you know, it might be a good thing that his race is a little closer if it was his only one this year.
Brandon, I know you're familiar with seeing a lot of McPeak runners work. What can we expect him to do with the 3 weeks and just the one start at 3?
I would probably, I mean, he's either going to go 4 or 5. I would probably say just a half mile, but you never know. But he's going to be looking for just probably a little bit of a sharp work. Like you said, just that one prep race. And you can see Brian Hernandez up there in the saddle. Rosie's right. He's been galloping strong. And we're going to get highly motivated on the screen here, guys. I think he's about to break off. He's on the outside of the mate. You can see in the yellow towel there.
All right, Rosie, this is the first stages of the work. What's happening right now?
So you can see they're setting up with the workmate in front, and this is just really common. It's likely that, you know, the Derby horse is obviously going to be the highest caliber of the pair. So they're just popping off here. I believe that was the half-mile pole. And he's obviously just going to sit back off this horse's hip, which is exactly, you know, where you kind of want him at this point there. They just passed the half-mile pole, and here he's really actually just kind of put his head up and jumped into his work. So he's really he looks actually pretty aggressive, and definitely moving forward. When he comes around the turn here, we're going to see, you know, how he's striding out. The rider's definitely got a pretty good hold against him, and it looks like, you know, they're not wanting to do too much. You can see the workmate, the jockey there, is having to work on that horse to keep up, but highly motivated is definitely very much in hand here. This looks like a really good work. I'm interested to see what the time is, but he looks fantastic, and it looks like if he drops his head here at the wire, he'll probably gallop out well in front.
Brandon, what are you seeing?
Yeah,
from
you
the
can see the reach at the wire there, and just up a little bit. I actually took them from the 5 furlong pole. They went off slow in like 13 and change. I had them going 1 minute and 3 to the wire, and just going to kind of looks like flag the stick just a little bit and ask him just a touch. 1:13 and 4 on the gallop out. I mean, I really like the move a lot. I thought he did it in hand and did everything he was supposed to there. So just I thought before the race, good move. Should build plenty of stamina. He's actually having him gallop out 7 furlongs here. We'll give you the time I've got 1:28 and 2, so should get a lot out of this, especially for stamina.
Rosie just galloped out. That's actually where you are. Any thoughts seeing him in person coming off that turn?
I actually just missed him as he went by, as I'm
paying attention to
looking
us,
at the video.
Yeah.
But he's pricking his ears galloping out. I'm watching the video, and I actually heard him behind as you just said that. But he did prick his ears. He did gallop out well in front. And, you know, that's the type of work that, you know, you want to give the horse a lot of confidence. You know, that's why, you know, they're often working with a horse that's not quite as fast as they are, so that the Derby horse is able to work past them and really gain confidence galloping out way in front. I mean, that's what you want the horse to feel going into a race like this.
Brandon, I'm not much of an exercise rider, handicapper, but he seemed happy coming off the track. And now we have King Fury. Does this look like he's preparing for the first stage of his work, Brandon?
Yeah, he's going to go solo, so Crazy Beautiful and him are not going to work together. It looks like Brian's going to just warm up King Fury just a little bit, kind of let him ease into the work. I love to watch the ears on the horses. I think everybody that's around the track, too, that's one thing you can do to kind of pick up how horses are feeling. We saw in that gallop out with highly motivated that those ears were kind of pricked up and flopping back and forth on the backside. So they're going to go 5/8 here. Brian's going to start the work right now. There's the pole. And Rosie, what do you see here?
Just saw Brian click his watch, so he knows what the time is there. But I love how this horse went to the pole nice and relaxed, just really listening to what Brian was asking him to do. He's had his ears pricked from the time he's been on the camera, so he knows what he's doing. You know, he knows what the job is today, that he gets to run a little bit, and he's obviously got tons of horse as he's got his ears forward, and now Brian's asking him just a little bit, and you can see him flicking his ears back. He looks like he's in between paying attention attention to all the things around him and then paying attention to his rider when he flicks his ears back. So, but I really like the way that this horse strides out. And this is just really kind of picture perfect for what you want. The jock is not really asking him, but just dropping his head and letting him run down the lane. And you know, he's got a beautiful stride. I'm interested to see what the time is here. It looks like it's going to be like pretty even maintenance work. We'll see how he gallops out after the wire here. You can see Brian's just stood up, so he's not really asking him to gallop out. He's just letting him gallop out, and that's really what you want to see.
Yeah, gorgeous stride to the wire. Had a minute flat from the 5/8 pole. Galloped out in 1:12 and 2 on the gallop out, which is an excellent time for a gallop out. I thought that was one of the best breezes that we've seen so far. The ears too. Just look at the ears. Okay, here we have Milfoy on the inside, working with a mate. 126 and 1 on that gallop out for King Fury. Milfoy on the inside here. Ears, that right ear's kind of flopping a little bit, picking up the mate, and we'll see what they do down the lane here. A little bit of reach on the inside, and rider on the outside's got a little bit of a hold too. Just a nice, easy Bill Mott company work there, and you can see the ears still kind of flopping at the wire. Rosie, pick him up on the gallop out here.
Yeah, and Milfoy looks like she's galloping out really well. It's interesting they've got her on the inside, so I wonder if she needs, you know, a little company to keep her at task. But she's pricking her ears here, galloping out. You know, it looks like that was a nice steady work, and it looks like, you know, what you can tell from the rider, that's exactly, you know, she was doing exactly what they wanted her to do. They didn't want her to go any faster. They didn't want her to go any slower. So it looks like it was a nice, even maintenance work, and she's very happy about it herself with her ears pricked there, galloping out a little bit in front of the workmate.
We saw Milfoy it looked like that was past Crazy Beautiful. We saw King Fury work for McPeak for the Derby. Crazy Beautiful is his for the Oaks, and there she is, Brandon.
Yeah, I've been really high on this filly. She's trained great. Her last 2 works have been sensational, and going to go a half here. You can see she's already into the bridle. She's wanting to do a little bit. Kind of had to wait a little bit on the Mott team galloping out. She was on the outside of them, and just a really smooth mover, I think. One thing I've noticed about her, she has her mind on business. You can see the ears kind of flopping back and forth here, relaxed. I've got the opening 8th and 12, and rider's just got a light hold here. Rosie, I'll let you pick them up at the quarter pole.
Yeah, she looks like she's really into this work. She's obviously moving. She looks like she's moving at a decent speed, and coming around the turn, she's got her ears pricked, and same again here. The rider is just sort of letting her have her head and move as she wants without asking her to do too much. He almost looks like he took another hold there, like he doesn't want her to do too much. I would expect this is going to be a very impressive gallop out by the way that she's coming to the wire. She's really striding out very nicely. She was a little aggressive going into the work, but very relaxed throughout the work. And here, again, this rider is not asking her to gallop out, but letting her gallop out. And that's really, you know, key for what you want to see, is that the horse does it on its own. She's got her ears pricked again, which means, you know, she's just really proud of herself and doing it very easy. And here you can see the rider's even easing up on her. So, you know, maybe like, you know, that's enough. That's enough gallop out, and we don't want to take too much out of her. But look at her striding out down the backside. I mean, she looks like she would gallop right down to the half-mile pole that way.
Brandon, she looked a little wider than some other horses we saw. Would there be any reason for that, or just the path she ended up in?
It could be by design, just to make sure that we don't go too fast. I had 49 to the wire, 102 and change on the gallop out, and then 115 and 4, 6 furlongs. And I thought, I mean, even look at the gallop out here. Look at the ears just flopping back and forth, kind of a helicopter motion. She's got them pricked up now, just saying, man, I could have done a lot more out there. Why are you making me stop? I mean, I thought that was an excellent, easy maintenance work.
Crazy Beautiful, part of what you said is a very competitive Oaks field, Scott.
Sure is, and we just saw the top 2 finishers in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, including Crazy Beautiful, who came from well off of it to get the job done. I didn't think it was a great race going in, but coming out of it, I thought both of the top 2 finishers ran very well and have a chance next Friday.
Yeah, it seems a lot of upside for those two, and I thought Milfoy kind of has a Royal Delta feel for me for Bill Mott, but a lot of workouts already for just in this window. Crazy Beautiful capping that, highly motivated, look good. And King Fury on the track for Ken McPeak. And Scott, we talk a lot about storylines here at the Derby, and Brian Hernandez winning a Derby I think would be a very popular outcome.
Good to see him get a mount this year for sure with King Fury, a horse that we both think definitely has some sort of a chance in here. He'll be a little bit pace dependent, Ed, but Brian definitely knows the terrain, and you can expect him, if he can, to be saving ground throughout.
Midnight Bourbon on the track for Racing Hall of Fame trainer Steve Asmussen, expecting him to be maybe one of the final works of the Derby starters. Here he is earlier today. This is not live. Brandon, Mr. Steve likes to send him out early.
Yeah, I mean, he's got so many horses, a lot of these guys do, and they got to find a way to get them all out. So get the work done early, physically, and just in the flesh. And Rosie could probably speak to this as well. This horse just looks like he's kind of jumping out of his skin. I mean, carrying a lot of flesh out there.
He looks fantastic, and I really love this horse, but also I'm a little biased. He's a half brother to Gervin, who my husband trained in the Derby, and I was actually out here exercise riding for Joe and breezing for the Derby. But everything about this horse reminds me of Gervin. Just his physique, he looks like a twin. His face looks the same, but he's training just as well as Gervin did up to the Derby. He's training super, gallops strong, but not aggressive. Not too aggressive, and here he's coming around. I think this is going to be the front side, the quarter pole there, or no, that's the back side, sorry. But again, he looks fantastic. He's full of energy. He's full of himself. And I actually saw this horse coming off the track this morning as well too, and just looking fabulous. I mean, he's, like you said, he's carrying great flesh. He's training well, striding out. And you can see he's got his ears pricked there. He's kind of proud of himself, and that's really an important aspect, is that these horses stay in a really positive state of mind, and they're out there loving their jobs.
From earlier this morning to right now, our first look on the Churchill Downs main track, Medina Spirit, and this is sort of a throwback horse for Bob Baffert, Scott.
Yeah, he's faced some of the best colts in the country out in Santa Anita. Life is Good, Rock Your World, who we'll see for John Sadler in this race. His tactical speed edge should have him in a good spot early, and he's consistent. I'm just a little concerned about his lack of development throughout the year.
And this is a live look at Medina Spirit, runner-up to Rock Your World in the Santa Anita Derby. And Brandon, some of the chatter I've seen on him is he's a tough horse to pass. And my response is he also doesn't like to pass horses. So kind of an interesting long shot, which you're not used to saying for Bob Baffert. What are your first impressions?
Yeah, he looks good out here. Looks like they've got some bell boots on. They're just going to look like jog around once. Not going to do a lot, obviously, just getting here. But like you mentioned, a throwback horse, and it kind of has that longer look, kind of that long, stretchy look, and like you said, just doesn't like to be beaten. And I would agree with that other assessment as well. If you look at some of the speed figures, Thorograph, other numbers, kind of running the same race every time, which he's going to have to improve a little bit to win this race, or kind of maybe get first run on some of these closers.
Rosie, I know you're involved a lot with shipping horses in, out, riding horses on a new track, etc. When you're on the back of a horse who's feeling a main track for the first time, do you get any clues of if they like it or not?
This horse just jogging today. I don't know that it's going to be super telling, but when he comes out and probably does a little more and gallops, I think you'll be able to see how he moves over it. But typically at a gallop, they're all going to go pretty well on a fast dirt track. So it's more telling when you see the breeze. But I'm sure they're just wanting to just get him out and get him moving after traveling. Not surprised that they're just having a jog, and I don't think there's much that you can tell from the track, from how he's taken to the track at a jog. But he certainly looks relaxed and professional, and you can see Jimmy there on the pony, just taking care of him here.
Going to have to do some research to see the last time Bob Baffert was 15 or 20 to 1 in the Kentucky Derby. It's been a minute. Back to the Oaks horses, and earlier this morning, Clairiere, frequent foe to Travel Column, galloping this morning for Steve Asmussen. And Scott, part of a budding rivalry and part of that competitive Oaks.
Yes, indeed. And she showed her class and talent in all four of her starts so far. We saw her win her maiden breaking performance here at Churchill Downs from off the pace in her first career start, going 2 turns. We knew right away she was special.
Yeah, when she won on debut, I definitely remember the Oaks chatter starting already. Brandon, I know we've seen her for a while. She was down at Fairgrounds where our colleague Joe has definitely been enamored with her. How's her progression into the last Friday in April?
She's feeling great out there. You can see how much power she has behind in that large hip back there where all the power comes from in the horse. She's just very composed out there, and that's what you would expect anything coming out of this barn. Just be very composed and really coming up to a good race. She's not a tall, leggy filly that you would think maybe that would enjoy distance, but she's just very well proportioned, built well. A little bit of a distance concern, but as far as the way she's coming in, she couldn't be doing any better.
Rosie, I know you're stabled at Fairgrounds. Not sure how much you were there all winter, but I imagine you've gotten to see this one develop over the course of the last few months.
I actually was in Kentucky this winter, so I didn't see her down there too much, but I saw her train here this week, and I can see that she looks a lot more relaxed today than she was the last time I saw her gallop. She was kind of tugging on her rider and just looking like she was really, happy to be out there. But I agree with what Brandon said about her, not being super leggy. She's not really tall, but she does have like a lot of flesh to her. She's got a really well-conformed body and a huge stride, lots of power coming from the hind end. She's also, she's just got that like air about her. She really kind of demands your attention. She's got a presence, and like I said yesterday, she sort of reminds me of Untappable when I've seen her on the track. Steve, is, like I said, horsemanship is probably the best word to describe Steve, and he's the only trainer that I've ever seen walk a horse on the track for warm-up. And I've seen him walk a horse 3/4 of a mile on the outside, which is just so good for their mind to just, say, when we come on the track, it doesn't mean it's time to stress out. We're going to walk, warm up, and a warm-up of the walk is really an important thing. And I know Steve is he's very particular about conditioning his horses in the most beneficial way. But I'd love to see this filly gallop this morning, nice and relaxed. She's got a lovely stride, and I just love watching her live on the track. She really, catches your attention.
Great perspective on a barn that's expected to become the all-time winningest barn, and lost a little bit in the shuffle now that the fantasies the week before the Arkansas Derby, Scott, is Asmussen actually pulled off the double, and he did it with Pauline's Pearl, followed by Superstock, and here is the Tappet filly.
Yeah, she's coming into the Oaks under the radar, especially given the connections, but she posted a career best Thoroughgraph figure and Brisnet speed rating in the fantasy. Steve Asmussen, as we've talked about, has won this race a couple times, including with Rosie with Untappable.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is 4-5 in the fantasy, and coming into this race, and I can't imagine any less than the 6th or 7th choice. Brandon, how's she look?
I thought she's been fine. She looked good this morning, and very similar, as Rosie has alluded to, that just the way that Steve brings these horses up to races keeps them composed. These long walks from the barn all the way to really back to the quarter pole. Or even the 3/8 pole, and just letting them take everything in. I think that's why his horses mentally always turn out to do their best, is because he takes his time with her. He walks, like I said, walks them out, gets them accustomed to everything, and then they really do respond in the afternoons.
All right, it's Pauline's Pearl getting a final look at her. She was on the track earlier this morning before we came on air, but on the track during that 7:30 Derby Oaks training window. We saw 4 workouts, I would say led by Bluegrass runner-up, Highly Motivated, still looking for that signature win. Kentucky Derby, probably no better race for it to come in, Scott.
Yeah, I think Chad Brown would agree with you for sure, as well as the connections. But Highly Motivated, to me, has to still prove that he can pass horses going 2 turns, but he has been consistent and has run some top figures in this field.
And here is that final preparation for Highly Motivated, who worked this morning for the Brown Barn in company. Rosie, take us through it again.
Yeah, he starts out quite a bit off the workmate, and you'll see, if you watch closely, you'll see when they really start working. The horse kind of puts his head up and like completely changes his rhythm. Coming up here right about, you're going to see him just sort of change his rhythm and get into this work. And he's really focused on his job right there. You can see he kind of just totally shifts gears, and the horse just kind of moves into a lower gear and is well within the bridle. I thought this was a really good work. He galloped out a long way, sort of asked to be galloping out, but had his ears pricked down the backside after this work. But you can see the workmate is struggling to keep up already. The rider's just using his stick there to keep him in contention, to give this horse Highly Motivated, to give him company all the way to the wire. But I think if the rider on Highly Motivated dropped his head, this time would be quite a bit faster. And still, a nice even work, probably just exactly what Chad was wanting to see, and gallops out here really, really nicely and ends up pricking his ears down the backside.
Brandon?
Yeah, we talked about the walkie-talkie on the rider's back pocket, and I wonder, early on I had him in 13 and change for that opening eighth, and Rosie was talking about how the horse kind of dropped his head and started to kind of grab the bit a little bit. I wonder if Chad was timing that and saying, hey, you guys need to pick it up a little bit. Maybe he chirped at him and got him into it. So that's what we talk about when the trainers are out here and they're timing these works. And they really, the way things are nowadays, I mean, all these works are designed to perfection. And if you're not going exactly where we want you, then, you know, they're going to ask you to pick it up. Love this shot, too, on the backside of the rider, just patting the horse. And you can see the ears kind of flicking back and forth. Horse is happy with himself. And just love to see that when the rider is patting them and giving them some love on the backside.
Yeah, I'm going to have a tough decision of which bluegrass horse to make my pick. There's trainer Brad Cox. One of the benefits to working your horses at 5:30 in the morning is at the 7:30 hour you can scout the competition, and imagine he's doing some replay work there. Brad Cox has 3 in the Derby. King Fury is for Ken McPeak. He had his final workout coming out of the Lexington Stakes, and he did it alone, Rosie.
Yeah, I loved this work. This horse is just really happy to be out here. He's got his ears pricked almost all the way around. He looks a little bit distracted, or just, you know, kind of checking everything out. And you can see when he flicks his ears back and forth here, he's kind of switching his attention from what he's seeing to what Brian's asking him to do. So you saw Brian kind of just get down and scrub on him a little bit for a few strides there. He flicked his ears back. Now he's got his ears back forward, and he's looking at the grandstand and everything that's in front of him. But a really smooth, nice work. He's got a lovely stride coming down the rail here, and Brian's just, you can see the rein is kind of loose, so he's just really letting him have his head and letting him run as opposed to really asking him to run. And he's going to have a really nice gallop out as well. I really like this horse. You know, he's obviously got a little bit to prove, and has only had 1 race in his 3-year-old year, but I really love this horse, his work today and his gallop out. I mean, you can see Brian is just letting him gallop out. He's not asking him to gallop out. The horse is doing it all on his own. Looks fantastic in the way that he's moving.
Yeah, watch the ears here on the gallop out. The left ear pricked, and then the right one kind of flicked back as to say, Brian, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to keep going around again? I thought this was just outstanding, possibly one of the best works I've seen since been here the last 2 weeks. And big final quarter, too. I think that's something that you want to look at with these works. You want to check out the final quarter, and then that 112 and change gallop out was just really impressive today.
King Fury from the barn of Ken McPeak, who also has a Oaks Contender in Crazy Beautiful, and here she is working. Rosie?
Yeah, she's a little aggressive going into this work, but I know that they were, she was kind of having to maneuver into position around, I believe, the Mott pair going to the pole. So sometimes, you know, that can kind of add a little bit of tension to the horse when you're kind of trying to hold them back a little bit, but she's allowed to open up her stride here. They do keep her off the rail. I think that's probably by design, just so she doesn't go too fast. Just keeping them a little wider will keep them less focused on the rail and on running, doing their fastest work. 49-1, and was a really fluid work. You can tell the rider here is not really letting her all out. Just wanting something maintenance, but she's doing it well within herself and striding out really well.
Brandon, what do you make of the gallop out here?
Yeah, gallop out was fine. They weren't trying to do a whole lot. They did let her gallop out an extra quarter. I think I had 102 and change, 115 and change. And just watching her down the lane, the ears, just watching those again to see how comfortable she's going, and kind of almost pulling the rider out of the saddle. I mean, he's having a hard time trying to hold her back, but she wasn't throwing her head up or anything. She was just telling us that she wants to go. You can see on the backside the ears just flopping around out there. I mean, she's just so relaxed and having fun, and another one that's just trained beautifully here.
Crazy Beautiful beat Mulefew in the Gulfstream Park Oaks, and she was on the track as well for Racing Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. And Crazy Beautiful we saw off the rail, and Rosie hinted at this when we saw this live. They actually have Mulefew on the inside, which seems to be rare among the Derby Oaks workouts.
Yeah, Milfoy here on the inside, and same thing here. You kind of got the ears flopping a little bit. Workmate on the outside. I thought the workmate, for the most part, was staying with Milfoy. And you see Bill Mott do this every now and then. A lot of times he'll just do some easy halves, but definitely wanted to sharpen this one up a little bit. Maybe try to help her get that 1 1/8, 5 furlongs with a little bit of a gallop out. And then you can see here at the wire, Rosie, she still looks like she's in hand and just doing it easy.
Yeah, and Scott, as we await Rosie to be back, we do have Rosie back. Rosie, take us through the gallop out here.
Yeah, this filly galloped out really well. It could have been by design that the workmate was on the outside to push her along real quick, but Bill Mott's going to, be aiming for a nice steady work. The filly worked in 59 and 3, which is probably a little bit, more than what they were looking to do. Or at least I'm sure they're very pleased with that, because she went very easily and is galloping out quite nicely for having such a sharp work.
Oaks is definitely shaping up to be a banger, a full field, and all week long, hopefully good racing, and it starts tonight. Scott, the track is back, and to help people maybe make some picks, Twin Spires expert picks, you've done them, I've done them. It's good to give the peeps some love.
Yeah, and it's going to be all you here for the Churchill Downs meet starting tonight. Looking forward to seeing what you have to say. I know we don't have a lot of similar opinions today, but maybe you'll be right a couple times.
I'm hoping 10 races tonight. That's expert picks in the app, and if you want to look as good as Todd Pletcher looked in his interview, you definitely want to visit the Kentucky Derby Museum. Gift shop is going to be open here on track, but of course, if you can't make it, derbymuseumstore.com. Morning works, 10% off your promo code. So we head to the final thoughts here at Churchill Downs. A very busy morning, not only during our hour, but before. Rosie, we saw workouts from the Brad Cox barn, several during the 7:30 hour. What impressed you most?
I would have to say the work that we just saw with the filly aiming to the Oaks, she was very impressive. That was an impressive work. I think Mandaloun was very impressive. It was a fast track today, good weather, a lot of breezes, a lot to see here. I really like King Fury as well. He's a horse that I think has a lot to prove, but moved very well on the track. I'm excited to be back here next week, Wednesday and Thursday, which will be the final days prepping up to the Derby and the Oaks.
We're excited to have you back for sure. It's been a real pleasure these last 2 days. And Brandon, Rosie says the M's have it, Milfoy and Mandaloun. Who impressed you?
Yeah, I was impressed by the another M, McPeak. I thought Crazy Beautiful capped off her preparations for the Oaks in a beautiful way. Her 2 breezes that she had coming in were excellent. This easy half, but she's showing she's wanting to do more, particularly on the backside. And I thought King Fury, just with that final quarter and that really strong gallop out, the most expensive horse Kenny McPeak's ever bought at auction, seems to be coming into this race. And I'm hoping he's going to be the king next Saturday.
Wow, all right. You'll be a big price, too. You'll be the king if you cash that one. Scott, I think the biggest talking point, in addition to who impressed people, I have to think essential quality is going to be a work people are talking about.
Yeah, absolutely, Ed. And deservingly so. He's going to be the one prohibitive favorite in the 2 races for sure. But for me today, it was the McPeak runners. 2 horses I was on the fence on coming in. King Fury will be the bigger price of the 2. Crazy Beautiful, though, a horse that didn't develop like I expected her to at the age of 2 towards the end of her campaign, but she took a big step forward last time out. She looked great out there.
And winning races like the Oaks and Derby is all about that big step forward. And we're taking a big step forward in Derby week. It's opening night.
Opening night, 10-race card on tap. Hopefully the weather sticks it out. But either way, very good wagering opportunities. I'm looking forward to coming back in a little bit.
All right, we're opening night, but that doesn't mean we won't be back at it tomorrow, 7 a.m., post time for the work show. I'll be alongside Joe Christofek, and we are open for business. We're looking forward to having you at the track tonight, tomorrow morning, and all Derby week long. Join us tomorrow.